Our Friday meeting. So officially Utah Transportation Commission meeting this day, Friday, October 16, 2020 at 8:30 a.m. is in order. And Chair recognizes the quorum is present. So let's start for our meetings, and I will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you don't mind, please all rise and face the flag behind my desk, and I will do the pledge. I
pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to also read the UDOT electronic meeting disclaimer. This October 2020 meetings of the Utah Transportation Commission will be conducted electronically, will only be accessible by electronic means. There will not be space or facilities to attend the open portion of the meetings in person, as the commissions determined that an anchor location presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location due to ongoing state of emergency related to COVID-19. Therefore, we believe that an anchor location will gather interested persons and members of the public in a single confined location where the risks of the further spreading COVID-19 are greater. Interested parties may access a live broadcast of this meeting on youtube.com/UtahDOT. So that is our disclaimer for today. So let's go for the first item of the agenda, introductions. I will start with the commissioners. Please state your name and your jurisdictional responsibility or regional responsibility, and then we go to the UDOT family. I start with the seniority. Commissioner Barlow, go ahead, please.
This is Wayne Barlow. I represent Region 1, which is the top of the state from Box Elder down through Davis County.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kramer. Commissioner Kramer, you're on deck. I know you're there. You can hear me. Would you please unmute your microphone? Maybe he's going to get a snack. Let's go back. So, Donna, welcome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Donna Law. I am a commissioner at large, which means I get to, help keep an eye on the whole of the state. And my home is in Cedar City, but I come to you live this morning from Draper, Utah.
Yay. Commissioner Evans.
Jim Evans, good morning. I represent Region 3, which is 6 counties in the central Utah area, Duab and Utah and Wasatch, Duchesne and Uinta and Daggett counties, and I live in Orem, so it's great to be with you today.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Tassel.
Yes, Commissioner Kevin Van Tassel. I'm a commissioner at large. I live in Vernal, Utah. Good to be with us today.
Thank you. Commissioner Gogner, please.
Yeah, good morning, Natalie Gochner. I represent Region 2, which is Salt Lake County and Summit County. And great to be with you this morning. I'm coming to you from my home in Murray, Utah.
Thank you. Commissioner Evans, Commissioner Kramer, are you with us still? Okay, says I cannot unmute my microphone. Please, somebody help him, but he's here. Okay. And my name is Nagi Zanadi. I'm chiming in this morning from sunny St. George. Thank you to be with you today. And we would also recognize our dear friends from Federal Highway, Ivan Marrero and Brigitte Mendel. Thank you for being with us this morning. Carlos, would you please introduce us, your UDOT family, our UDOT family?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Commission, good morning. Carlos Braceras with the Utah Department of Transportation, and I appreciate all your time this morning for our Commission meeting. I'm going to just go and read down the list here. I'm assuming that the 202 phone number is actually Commissioner Kramer, perhaps. So I'm not going to introduce a phone number. I'm not sure who that is. I'll start off with Ben Hewitt. It's on the top of the list here. Ben is our, and you'll hear from him later on our favorite topic, the prioritization for TIF projects. Ben is the director of our program development group. Brad Palmer, project manager out of our Region 2 office. Charles Stormont, our director of right-of-way. And let's see here. Eric Mason, he's a project manager in Region 3. Eric Rasban, he's our planner out of Region 3. Jeff Dupay is our public involvement coordinator out of Region 3. We were obviously going to be in Lehigh, so we have a lot of Region 3 folks here, and they're going to give us our Region 3 update. Grant Potter, he's out of our communications office and helps with the behind-the-scenes technology here. Heather Barthold, obviously the lady, the commission secretary, and the person who helps bring this all together for us. Ivan Hartle, he is the division director for our planning and programming group. Jason Davis is deputy director for engineering and operations. Jordan Lee works in our technology and innovation group, and Jordan's the one that's probably letting people in and out of the meeting here. Cade Roberts, a project manager out of our Region 4 office. Carrie Ann Noble, also out of technology and innovation. The names are jumping a little here on me. Lane Murphy. Lane, good for you. You're going to join us for the full meeting, and Lane's item on the agenda is way at the bottom here. He's going to talk about the motor carrier rule that we have. I'm glad to have Lane joining us. Lyle McMillan is here. We have a state infrastructure bank item on the agenda for the commission's consideration, and Lyle works in Terry's side of our deputy director's shop. Nathan Lee, director of our group over technology and innovation. Richard Brockmeyer, you've heard from Richard a bunch. He is the brains behind the prioritization process, and he's here to help answer any questions from the commission. Rick Torgeson is our Region 4 director. Rob Clayton, Region 3 director. Rob White is our Region 1 director. Robert Pelly is the STIP coordinator. So he's the one that makes sure all the arithmetic is working, and that Commissioner Kramer, we take care of all those from the decimal point going to the right. We do take care of those details, and Robert Pelly's the guy that does it. Robert Stewart is our, he's over our operations group. I see Sean Seeger here from the Mountainlands Association of Government, not a UDOT employee, but a UDOT partner. We appreciate Sean being here. Terry Ann Newell is our deputy director over planning and investment. And I see Bill Lawrence here over our pavement management group. And it's good to see, Bill used to help work with the commission. We called him Dollar Bill. It's good to have Bill back here today. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the UDOT members that are present on the call today.
Thank you, Carlos. And for all of us listening to Carlos, you can hear and see that all takes whole village to raise a kid. So that's exactly what we do right now. The whole state of Utah is on the hand of the great leadership of the UDOT. Thank you. So let us proceed with the next item of agenda, which is local area presentation on Region 3. I think the Boyd Humphreys and Eric, both Eric Mason and Eric Rasband will be in the presentation mode. So please proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is Rob Clayton. I'm just going to do a brief introduction.
Okay.
We really appreciate this opportunity to talk about Region 3 and welcome you virtually to Lehigh. There's been a little project going on in Lehigh, and it's really close to being finished. And so Boyd's going to give you a nice virtual tour of all of those improvements and help you see what the investments the difference the investments have made there. So we're really excited to give you this update. We wish we could do it in person. Looking forward to getting back to seeing this stuff in person And we just welcome any questions that you might have as we work through this. And with that, I'll hand it off to Boyd.
Well, Rob, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Before Boyd goes, first, Boyd, I apologize. I introduced you as a program manager out of Region 2. I'm going to follow my sword. He's the project director for our I-15 technology project. Just a phenomenal leader for us. So sorry, Boyd.
No problem. No, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Carlos.
Paying the same doesn't make any difference, right?
That's right. Well, good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. It's good to be with you. To have a chance to talk about the exciting things we're doing in Lehigh. We could go to the next slide. The I-15 Technology Corridor Project. It's kind of the last section of I-15 that we're rebuilding between Bangerter Highway and Spanish Fork in recent years. You know, it's in an area that's seen a lot of growth. I mean, so much so that we accelerated the project by 2 years. And it's in a unique place. It's an area that we've seen a lot of growth in the last few years, and it's kind of a unique area in the fact that, I mean, you think of if you drive up through, you know, particularly north of 2100 North, I mean, we have businesses, retail, office space, a movie theater, a hospital, as well as all the residents, Thanksgiving Point. And so when we started the project, we knew we had to come up with some creative designs in order to accommodate the needs. And there was a lot of coordination and collaboration with the community and the stakeholders so that we understood their needs and we could address them. And as we went through this, you know, that was kind of a big focus of what our design would be like. If we go to the next slide. So obviously one of the big parts of the project was reconstructing the major interchanges. And the first one was the Timpanogos Highway interchange, or SR 92. It was existing, it was a diverging diamond interchange. And as the project, we're reconstructing it to a more traditional diamond interchange. And one of the nice things, since we're rebuilding the freeway and the bridges, we were able to widen SR 92 underneath I-15 to get the capacity that we need. If you go to the next slide, here you can see the lane configurations we've got. You know, these with the width underneath, and as well as rebuilding the ramps, we added the lanes to get the capacity that we need to be able to handle the traffic that we have now, as well as growth into the future of this area. And one of the other unique things that we did at this interchange, and a lot that we heard from the community, was for bikes and peds to cross through the interchange. A lot of times an interchange can be a barrier to bicyclists and pedestrians, and so we wanted to address that. If you go to the next slide. So what we did is we actually built pedestrian structures across the on and off ramps on the south side of the interchange to allow pedestrians to cross the interchange without any conflict with traffic. This was going to allow them to do it safely, and it encourages bicyclists and pedestrians to cross the interchange. And we have businesses on each side, a front runner station. This was a big goal of the project. You go to the next slide. In addition to what we did at SR 92, the map over on the left shows kind of the trail network in the area, and it's pretty extensive. The orange is what was already existing. The blue is what we've built as part of the project, and there's up in the right corner, there's a purple line. It's a crossing of SR 92. It's a PED bridge that's actually being built by UTA, not our project. But when it finishes next spring, there's going to been a lot of improvements in this area with the active transportation piece of it. Let's go to the next slide. This shows the trail system that we've built between SR 92, 2100 North, that includes a shared use path all on each side of I-15, as well as a crossing at Triumph Boulevard and connection down to 2100 North. Let's go to the next slide. The next interchange that we rebuilt was 2100 North, and just as at SR 92, the goal was to create an interchange that could meet the capacity demands now and into the future. Let's go to the next slide. One of the big things with this interchange that we wanted to address is this is also the location of the future freeway to freeway connection between Mountain View Corridor and I-15. And so we wanted this, our interchange to be compatible with it. And so if you look at the drawing here, the purple and blue is what will be built in the future. The gray underneath is what we've built. And then that green down at the bottom, that's also what we built that will be very compatible with the future. And that's the southbound on I-15. It kind of changed locations from where it was before. But this will be compatible so that it'll save taxpayer money in the future by eliminating rework. It also sets kind of the outside limit of the interchange so that development can happen in the area, and we you know, that line's kind of set. So it was an important part to the project. Let's go to the next slide. You know, I talked earlier about we had to come up with some creative solutions to address the needs of the area, and one of those is the one-way frontage road system between SR 92 and 2100 North. And this system, basically, it's designed to give drivers more options, better access to where they need to go. This is an area that's seen a lot of growth and a lot of traffic. Let's go to the next slide. One of the things with that is that this frontage road system has direct access to and from the freeway outside of the major interchanges. Can we play the video?
One new option is the innovative frontage road system, which allows drivers to access area businesses without driving through an interchange. Coming south from the point of the mountain, drivers can access the west side of the interstate using two options: the improved off-ramp to Timpanogos Highway, exit 284, or the new Triumph Boulevard exit 283, to connect to Thanksgiving Way. If you need to connect to southbound I-15 from the business areas west of the freeway, take Thanksgiving Way and merge onto I-15 once you've passed Triumph Boulevard. On the east side, you can now use
Digital Drive to access area businesses. To access northbound I-15 from Digital Drive, you can do so north of 2100 North or north of Triumph Boulevard.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. The other part of the frontage road system that is important is the U-turns. We have a northbound to southbound U-turn at SR 92 and two U-turns one in each direction at Triumph Boulevard. This just allows you to get from one side of the freeway to the other without going through an interchange or an intersection. Let's go to the next slide. Got a video that kind of explains the U-turns as well. If you'll play the video, Jordan.
Before construction, drivers would have to cross through busy interchanges to travel east and west in North Lehigh. The improvements from the I-15 Technology Corridor project provide new options to disperse traffic by bypassing these interchanges, reducing congestion and travel times. You can now cross I-15 without using Timpanogos Highway or 2100 North by using the new frontage roads and connecting to Triumph Boulevard. In addition, by using the dedicated Triumph Boulevard and Timpanogos Highway U-turns, you'll avoid congestion at the interchanges and see fewer stoplights. From the west side of I-15, you can now access businesses on the east side by taking the far left lane of Thanksgiving Way to a dedicated U-turn on Triumph Boulevard to Digital Drive. From this point, you also have access to the new northbound I-15 on-ramp. If you are on the east side of I-15 and need to connect to area businesses, southbound I-15 or 2100 North, stay left on the northbound frontage road to use the dedicated U-turn under the interstate. Another option is to stay left on Digital Drive and use the dedicated U-turn at Triumph Boulevard. From here, you'll have a couple different route options to choose from. Stay to the left, and you'll merge onto southbound I-15. Stay to the right, and you'll continue heading south on Thanksgiving Way. You'll then be able to access 2100 North, 1200 West, southbound I-15, or State Street.
Okay, so that's our, the frontage road system, just designed to give better access, more access, pull traffic out of the already congested interchanges, and give people options. And of course, our project was all about rebuilding and reconstructing I-15 and widening it from 4 lanes to 6 lanes in each direction. One of the innovative things that our design builder, which is a joint venture between Ames and Wadsworth Brothers, that they came up with was to actually, at the very beginning of the project, add a 5th lane in most of the project in each direction. And this was really beneficial. Normally when we start construction, we see travel times increase, but we actually in the afternoon southbound commute, we actually saw like a 20% reduction in travel time, which is just amazing. And we were really excited about that. And so, the biggest challenge we probably had on the project is keeping traffic moving and then being able to rebuild this freeway that includes 17 bridges. Let's go to the next slide. In order for us to do this, we had to build it in phases. So we would shift traffic, build a phase, then shift traffic again, build another phase. And you can kind of see this is at the UTA rail trail here in Lehigh. You can see kind of how we phase across I-15. We have, like I said, I mentioned the 17 bridges. Well, for all the mainline I-15 bridges, we really built each bridge 3 or 4 times, depending on the structure. And so it was a challenge to keep traffic moving, but it was a big goal of the project. Let's go to the next slide. Just before we play the video, as Rob mentioned, we're right at the end. We're finishing the project up. We actually last week placed our last concrete pavement for the project. We're in the process of putting lanes in their final configuration, and really by the first part of November, we should have everybody in their final configuration, all the lanes, all the features, and then finishing up with some cleanup work throughout the end of the year. But we're excited to be to this point. And I guess with that, play the video. So with that, that's the I-15 Technology Corridor project. Is there any questions that anyone has?
Boyd, this is Jim Evans. Quick question.
Okay.
I know we had some issues we were trying to work with, Lehigh City and the business owners on the east side there in conjunction with the northbound the frontage roads. There was originally some concerns about access to some of the properties over there. We continue to get some of that worked out over there in terms of access outside of on and off of our roads there. I know that was kind of an issue in the past. Neither you or Rob can address that, but I was just wondering how those access points are coming over there with the properties to the kind of north of the hospital and kind of just in that east area. Are we still making progress over there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Rob can answer better. I know there's been some discussions over there with the possibility of some projects with the city.
This is Boyd. This is Charles with Right of Way. Jim, Commissioner Evans, we've made great progress. We do have a few cases in condemnation, but we've made great progress toward getting those resolved. And like Boyd suggested, working with the city to find some additional ways to provide connectivity in that area. Nothing is quite done or constructed yet, but we've had partnership with Lehigh, and we've been able to advance through to some settlements to help facilitate all of that. It's actually been a great collaboration and partnership with Lehigh to get some access and connectivity issues resolved.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say I've had a chance, commissioners, to take several tours with the project team to the different stages, and it's been remarkable for me to watch this project. I know Lou's monitored a lot as well because he works in his office, but it's just been, you guys have done an incredible job, and I appreciate the time you've taken to answer my questions and take me through this as we've done this. So I just wanted to say thanks on that. I also, two other things. It was refreshing the other day to come home from Salt Lake and realize that I was pretty much going straight down I-15 through Lehigh. I'm so used to being Mario Andretti and taking those hairpin turns back and forth. And I thought, I just went through there and I only had one little minor turn and it was all of a sudden about done. And then the other thing I want to just give a second to, for the first 2 years of the project, I was working up there in Lehigh and then don't go there anymore. But it absolutely is true. I actually had better, quicker speeds access on the freeway during the project than before they started the project because of adding an extra lane. That was incredible when you did that. I couldn't believe from going through construction site and the traffic's moving better. So I experienced that. I just want to say hats off to you and the contractors for allowing that to happen. That just made all the difference in the world to keep the traffic flowing through there. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Evans. Yeah, we're continuing to work on removing those curves, straightening it out.
So, Commissioner Evans, are you sorry that you retired too early? So now you can just go the speedy zoom in, zoom out?
No, I enjoy just driving through with the rest of the state now, and it's okay. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please go ahead. Welcome back.
I'm delighted to have a microphone. Thank you. I echo Commissioner Evans' praise for this. I've actually started telling people again that I'm on the Transportation Commission. For a couple of years, I'm trying to hide that fact. It seems like, but no, the professionalism and meeting deadlines is just a great endorsement for what we're doing. I did hear an unusual rumor yesterday from somebody in the Midwest, and my job, we deal in a lot of rumors, but this person indicated that he'd heard that Thanksgiving Point golf course was going to be turned into 6,000 homes. I thought, wait a minute, we just got things going in I-15 and that's not what we need. But I don't know if anyone else has heard that rumor. I don't want to be spreading it except to say that I heard it. But, that's, just as we're getting the airport working and all these other things just where we want them, this new deluge of incoming. I mean, there's so much interest in Utah these days. I can understand why they'd say this, but anyway, thanks for the work, and I hope that we don't have to immediately upgrade it because of 6,000 new residential homes.
Yeah, no, thank you. And yeah, I haven't heard that either.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. I just maybe put this point in time in context. It was a little over 15 years ago where the governor stood on the top of Traverse Mountain with hang gliders in the background and basically announced that he was instructing, the department to begin the environmental impact statement on I-15 from Bangor Highway down through Utah County. And when we started that in partnership with the Utah Transit Authority, and the Front Rail project was included in that study. Now, when we got to the draft, we had to break that out. And because the FTA and Federal Highway Administration have different processes for actually doing the same thing. So, but those two projects started at that same point. And if you think about how this was accomplished, Boyd mentioned this was the last piece. I think everyone's familiar with the I-15 core, over $1 billion project. And that went from Springville, south of Spanish Fork up to Lehigh Main Street. And then we did the Gap project, which went from just north of this project to Bangor Highway. And now we did the Technology Corridor project. And those three projects really comprised the completion of that vision for I-15. But at the same time, we had this little program called Access Utah County going on, which included the reconstruction of SR 92 right at this location. It included the construction of two brand new roads, 2100 North that Boyd talked about where it ties in. He said the freeway connection between Mountain View and I-15, well, 2100 North was built in phases. It included Pioneer Crossing, which is to the south of this, which again was a brand new facility that was built. It included the construction of Geneva Road. It included the construction of a new road called Vineyard Connector. It included the reconstruction of SR 77 down in Springville, a dramatic change down there. And, so that program unto itself was over $1 billion. And you think about the amount of work that's taken place in Utah County over the last 15 years, trying to keep up with the growth. It's just been phenomenal to see this change. And so I was telling somebody yesterday that when I was a region director briefly down in Region 3, it was back 20 years ago, a little more. I remember when the traffic engineer came into my office and mentioned that, hey, we're going to have to put a traffic signal up on the intersection of Redwood Road and then SR 73. It was Lehigh Main Street. I was like, get out of here. That's farm fields out there. And, I couldn't imagine that we needed a traffic signal out there. And you look at how that change has happened over 20 years. I think it's just sometimes important to, it always feels like we're fighting this battle, and sometimes it might feel like it's a losing battle. How far we've come, and the commission has been instrumental in helping put all the pieces of this together for us. So I want to thank the commission and the thousands and thousands of men and women that have worked to make this happen. It really is a remarkable point in time.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Boyd.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, I'll turn the time over to Eric Mason.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Boyd. I'm Eric Mason, as was mentioned. I'm a project manager in Region 3. My area encompasses Northeast Utah County. This morning, I'll just give a few project updates on a few things we're working on. The first of which is the Pleasant Grove Boulevard and North County Boulevard intersection project. This is a significant choke point for the region, so much so that it backs up onto the adjacent I-15 and causes slowing in the northbound direction. So this project is, the design has just begun. We expect it to be complete in about a year, and then construction will begin in 2022 and also finish about 2 years from now in the fall of 2022. Has a value of about $9.1 million. Also in this area, this Pleasant Grove Boulevard area on I-15, we're about to begin an environmental study to do a split diamond interchange between the existing overpass at Proctor Lane and Pleasant Grove Boulevard. So we would connect those with a frontage road system similar to what Boyd just talked about on the Tech Corridor. We expect to have that environmental wrapped up in the summer of 2022. Begin design after that. The environmental project value is $1.2 million. Next slide, please. We have a couple of projects on US 89, so State Street and American Fork. The first of which is the widening project from 500 East to 200 South in Pleasant Grove. We're going to be widening out for 3 lanes and 3 through lanes in each direction with shoulders and buffered bike lanes. That project's design is complete and the right-of-way is about 80% acquired. Due to higher than expected right-of-way costs, we're working to secure, so we've moved the construction back a little bit as we secure more funding. However, two traffic signals that have already warranted, we've decided to go ahead and take them out as standalone projects for safety purposes, one of which at 860 East State Street in American Fork, and the other at 1650 West State Street and Pleasant Grove. So those should be installed in the next couple of months. We also have another project on US 89 at State Street and Main Street, so just east of the Pioneer Crossing interchange. Another choke point intersection. It's almost done. The contract will be finished in about 2 weeks. We expect to see significant improvements on traffic flow in that area as a result. And that one's really looking good. And finally, the UVU pedestrian bridge. We're coming to the end of the construction phase on that one. We got about 2 months left. We expect it to open in early January. The bridge deck and the roof are in place. We're currently installing elevators and putting finishing touches on electrical and cosmetic finishes, things like that. And that time frame should coincide with the next semester for UVU. Next slide, please. It says a time-lapse video. You can see the bridge and the roof, the zigzaggy roof kind of going in place east to west. East is on the right here. And we're coming to the final stages. And with that, I'll turn it over to Eric Rasband to talk about some studies he's doing.
Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This has been a fun and interesting project in cooperation with the Utah Transit Authority. Different in that UDOT has been managing a transit study, and we really have been asked to do that by the local jurisdictions. It's been a joint effort between UDOT, UTA, Mountain Land Association of Governments, and the area communities. There's 7 communities that have participated in this project, from Provo, Orem, Vineyard, Linden, Pleasant Grove, American Fork, and Lehigh. There's been an executive committee which Commissioner Evans has been participating in, as well as our friend trustee Kent Millington from UTA has been participating as well. The executive committee has recently selected a preferred alternative, which is a bus rapid transit project. Up at the north, you'll see a blue dotted line that connects up and over the point of the mountain into Draper. That is tied to the prison redevelopment. Early on in our project, we processed a change order to make sure that we were coordinating with the central UTA staff between the Central Corridor project and the Point of the Mountain effort. And we continue to have those discussions regularly to make sure that the 2 systems are going to work well together. In this segment 1 in Lehigh, we anticipate starting the Central Corridor project likely at the Adobe site. There's going to be a station just north of SR 92. Take advantage of the Utah Transit rail system through Lehigh and American Fork. Union Pacific Railroad currently has some customers along that rail alignment. And so at some point we would jump out of the rail alignment into State Street. Through American Fork, transition over to Main Street to serve that downtown district, down into Pleasant Grove using the North County Boulevard over to 700 North, back to State Street. And then the corridor continues along State Street through Orem and Provo. There is a branch system. Vineyard was the only community that participated in the study that wasn't served. And so the recommendation is to develop a branch along 800 North or the Vineyard Connector from State Street over to the town center area. So for next steps, we're just finalizing this study up. In basically a month, we should be completed. And then Mountain Land Association of Governments and UTA have cooperated and funded the first portions of the environmental study, which is anticipated to start in the spring of next year. And I think that concludes our presentation for Region 3. If there are any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Any questions from any of the presenters? Fantastic job as usual. Thank you, Rob, for the leadership on this. Boyd, Eric, and Eric. I have just a favor to ask all of you and the region directors, for the commission purpose and the public and the leadership of the communities, please don't rush on your presentation and the slides. Let us have the opportunity to absorb. For some of the commission and the public, if they're not from the area, they don't live in the area, it's hard to absorb quickly the snapshot of the slide or presentation. We would like to know the geography of the location in our commission, of course, mine. to see where the connections are. Tomorrow somebody asks us, calls us, so we can say, oh yeah, I know the project. I just previewed that. So please, you've done a fantastic job. Don't rush it to get it over. Let us have a little bit of enjoyment of fruit of your labors, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. If there's no questions, we're moving on to the next item in the presentation, which is going to be the UDOT scoreboard. And as Carlos mentioned, we have a privilege of to hear from Bill Lawrence and Robert Stewart. I don't know who's going to go first. Bill?
Mr. Chairman, did you want to do the federal highway report
Oh,
first?
sorry. Did I miss it already? Sorry. Yes. I'm sorry, Ivan. I am so sorry. My apology to you.
I forgive you, Mr.
Our dear friend from the Federal Highway will present first and give us the good news, all the money that he's brought us, and then we go to Bill.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Is my sound working?
Yes,
good,
yes.
good. I mean, I do have money here sitting by me, so yeah.
My apologies.
Thank you for letting me talk about it. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Ivan Marrero. I'm the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Office here in Utah. And thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about the federal issues. Let me try to share this, my screen, and hopefully it will work. Let me see. All right, I'm going to share that one. Hopefully you can see that one fine.
Yes.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes, yes.
All right, so just a few items for this morning. We, the September 30th is the last day of the fiscal year on the federal side. So what we try to do there is make sure that we get every single penny that is coming to the state of Utah obligated or on the books. So we were able to do that successfully this year, as we usually do, and that it takes a lot of coordination with the UDOT staff, and I just wanted to thank them for an excellent job again this year. We were able to get everything taken care of actually ahead of time, so thank you very much for that. Another thing that took place at the end of our fiscal year was the fact that our current transportation act was expiring. The FAST Act expired on September 30th. So and also the government's funding was also set to expire. So Congress, President Trump on the 1st of October was able to sign a continuing resolution. That continuing resolution contained an extension of the federal program through December 11th, and it also extended the FAST Act by 1 year. So in the FAST Act, the extension, they were able to add $30.3 billion from the general fund to the Highway Trust Fund to keep it going. That money gets split by 10.4 billion goes to the Highway Trust Fund, and 3.2 go to the mass transit account. It also added another $100 million to the infra discretionary grant and the Rebuild America grant. So a little bit of extra money there for that program. The total amount of apportionment to Utah is $380 million, and you can see down there how it is split between the different programs, the NHPP, STP, STBG, HSIP, and so on and so on. So, and again, that's sort of our, we've been putting, we put a few fish in the pond. However, since we only have a continuing resolution until the 11th of December, that's 72 days. So we're only able to issue obligation limitation until then. So that amounts to about 19.73% of the total amount of funds. So we have issued obligation limitation to Utah in the amount of $65.79 million. Are there any questions on those two slides?
So that fish is not the catch and release, it's a catch and keep, right, Ivan?
You can catch them. Yeah, we're allowing you to catch fish until December 11th, and only 65.7 million worth of fish.
Okay, we'll take it.
Okay. Another thing that we do at Federal Highways, every 4 years, your STIP is required to be approved by FTA and Federal Highways. So here in Utah, we actually do it every year. So on the 30th of September, FTA and Federal Highways approved that STIP, and we issue our finding letter. And I want to thank not only UDOT, but WFRC, MAG, the Dixie MPO, the Cash MPO, and UTA for doing such a great job with their planning process. We promote what we do here in Utah to all the other states regularly, because it is, to us, Federal Highways considers one of the best processes in the nation. And so we reviewed your STIP for this year and found it compliance with the federal regulations. So we were able to approve it very quickly. One of the other things that happened recently was the back MAP 21, which was the Transportation Act from prior to FAST Act, set in place some performance measures that had to be met by the states, and one of them had to do with pavement condition on the interstate. So basically, if a state did not have 5% of their interstate pavement in good, well, if it had more than 5% of their interstate pavement in poor condition, it would be subject to some penalties. Luckily here in Utah, we're at 0.4% of interstate pavement in poor condition. So we've determined that Utah is complying with this requirement, so there will be no penalties issued to the state of Utah. And that penalty would have been, they would have to be more funds put into pavement management on the interstate. So it's not like we're taking away any funds. It would have just cost some additional funds to be put towards pavement improvement and maintenance on the interstate. Inactive obligations. So one of the things Federal Highways does is we track the status of the funds that we obligate, whether they're active or not. And by active, inactive, we've defined an inactive obligation as one where we have a project where we have not had any expenditures for 12 months or more. So it kind of is an indication of how that the funds are being put to use, that the projects are not just sitting there inactive with no expenditures. So we have a nationwide goal of 2%. So every quarter we get a report as to how the different states are doing. I just wanted to highlight that here in Utah, our report for the last quarter, ending on September 30th, we had an inactive percent of 0%. That means 0% of the funds were allocated to the state or appropriated to the state were not inactive. And for the prior quarter, it was also at 0%. And for our four quarter average has been 0%. So we only had 15 projects that were had any kind of inactive, were inactive during that period. And basically about 3 of them, nothing over 150,000, only 3 were actually have money in it. So we had a total inactive balance of $105,000. So it's really, really good. Only 4 other states actually maintain such a 0% inactive percentage. And so it were Montana, Oregon, South Dakota, and Rhode Island. So we're in good company. And I just want to, again, express my appreciation to the good work that UDOT does in programming and managing their projects, because they do not have these funds just sitting there, and they put them to good use. They're always balancing the books and putting the money back on the projects. And that's all I have for you this morning, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you have for me.
Any questions from the commission from Ivan?
Nagi, this is Natalie.
Yes.
Clearly, Ivan's been busy.
Yes, he has been.
Thank you, Ivan.
Well, you know, the end of the fiscal year, the start of the new fiscal year is always crazy. And then we're also preparing for a transition to, you know, whether or not this administration stays on, there's always going to be a transition period. So that's another thing keeping us busy over here.
Well, with everybody's permission, I'm going to exercise the chair's point of personal privilege. And I ask Ivan, how is your son Alex doing?
He well, thank you for asking, Commissioner. He's had a good stretch the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's beginning to eat solid foods and stay awake for most of the day. So we're very happy to see him show some improvement.
Would you please convey to him and to your sweet wife that individually and collectively our prayers from the commission and the UDOT family is coming your way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ivan, and thank you for the good news of all the money, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you. Okay, now we can move on to item number 4, UDOT scoreboard, Bill Lawrence and Robert Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here on assignment for Chris, who's taking some well-deserved vacation time with his family. So it's good to be here. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bill.
Let me go ahead and present. You see that?
Yes, it's coming. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just go through the project delivery status. First of all, there's a total of 649 projects. Looking at what's coming up, we have 108 that are advertising date that are more than 60 days out. We have 4 that are within 60 days, and there are 4 past due, and I will talk a little bit about each one of those as we go through this. So this here is very impressive. We have an on-time advertising goal of 85%. In the current fiscal year, there's been just over $1 billion worth of projects advertised, 54 of those. And our current fiscal year advertisement on time is at 95%. I believe this might be the highest we've had. And this is says a lot to the project managers that are out there moving these projects along, especially given the challenges of COVID-19. It's been a great benefit, I'm sure, to the state to have these projects continue to move on, and they've done an incredible job of keeping these moving and getting them out the door. Okay. Next is total cost estimates for projects. This shows the projects that have been advertised since the first of the previous month. There's a total of 51 projects that have been advertised with a total of just over $258 million of projects that have gone out since the first of last month. A few of those were a little bit behind, but again, hats off to the project managers in getting these projects and keeping it moving. Okay, this here shows the status of when projects went out the door, whether they were late, whether they were on time, and those that are coming up are future unadvertised ones. So what I want to do, I want to shut these off. So right here, it just shows the projects that were advertised on time or actually ahead of time when compared to their committed advertisement date. If we look at those that were late, we had some projects that were late, and we can shut this off and look at those. And you've probably talked about these in previous commission meetings, but again, given the level of projects that go out the door, not too bad. we've got, if I turn this back on, these are the projects that are in the future to be advertised, and these that are in scoping that will be advertised in the future as well. So the key that I want to point out here is you can see that during this time between now and April is really our best time to get projects out the door. We get good bid prices on them, and so it's meeting that time frame when we can get the best bang for the buck. And then I just want to talk about those that were past due. So we got 4 projects that are past due. I'm going to shut these off so we can. So here are the 4 projects that are currently past due. The first one there in the Logan Middle Canal Crossing in Region 1. This one here is a local government project. It was had a few scope changes, and because of those scope changes caused it to get delayed a little bit. Those have now been resolved, and they're looking to have this out before the first of the year. The next 2 projects in Region 4, the McElmo Creek Bridge, the Recapture Creek Bridge, both of these came to the commission last meeting for some additional funds. Now that funding is on them, we should see these going out the door fairly quick. And then this next one is the 9270 South and State Street, 150 East to State Street. This project is just a month behind right now. There was some utility issues which have now been resolved, so it should go out through the next advertisement cycle. Turn them all back on, you can see the full schedule there. So again, a lot of work going, and it's heading in the right direction. Next chart is a project count and construction projects. So we have 180 projects under construction currently, and you can see the amount of contract that has been paid on those projects as it creeps up as we get towards the end of the construction season. Again, there's a lot of good work going on here, and you can see the amount that's still remaining in those contracts to be paid out still of those 180 projects. This one here, this chart here shows the monthly contractor payments in total by month. And I'm just going to highlight the last month that we have full data. So we had just over 112 million, so about just over $3 million a day going out to contractor payments. And I sit there and I look at this chart, and personally in my mind I think of the COVID situation and the businesses that couldn't keep functioning, and how important it is that this funding is being put back out into society. I'm sure it's a great help. And lastly, last item I'll cover is this just as a chart that shows how well design's going. Basically, the engineer's estimate compared to what the award amount was. And you see that for the most part, we're very close to those engineering estimates and the original contract amount on those. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please, Carlos.
Yes, I was wondering, Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot here. In light of your comment, your previous comment regarding, the slowdown so that the public, elected officials can understand the data. Bill, you're showing us a live dashboard accessible from our website, I believe.
Correct.
Would you start from the website and show remind the commissioners and the public how they can see this information that you just presented?
You bet.
Sorry to do this to you, but you're used to doing this.
You're good. So let me back up. Okay. So I'm sharing just one tab. So what I'm gonna have to do is
start at udot.utah.gov.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop presenting here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. That way you can see the whole thing and not just that one tab. Okay, entire screen. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing my entire screen.
Not yet.
Not yet, Bill.
Not yet? Okay, I'll just.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Yes. Okay, now we see it.
Okay, so if you can see it now, I'm just backing up to get to the very start. Okay, there's the search I did. So the first thing I did is I Googled UDOT. So I Googled UDOT, and that brings up the UDOT main page. Then you can go about us.
Or Bill, just go down, scroll down to the bottom left. Oh, okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Strategic direction. So this brings up the strategic direction page, which I'm sure you've all seen. And I'm going to access the strategic direction here. There's multiple ways to get in here, by the way.
Yeah, you're not doing the fastest way, Bill.
So here's UDOT strategic direction. You scroll down, and then you have the Transportation Commission. And then you hit explore here, and that will bring up that tab that we had that is the project delivery status. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, please, Donna.
Bill, as we're looking at this and seeing that we've got 4 projects that are overdue, those are self-imposed deadlines, right? Those are setting our goals and meeting them.
Correct.
That's pretty awesome. I wish I could achieve all my goals at 95%.
You do, Donna. You're just too humble to say it. So any question from Bill, from the commission? Bill, you still got it. You still have the touch. Thank you for being here. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Say, Robert, you're on.
Thank you, Commissioner, Chairman, Mr. Chairman and Commission. I wish I had a nickname as good as Dollar Bill. Nicknames I guess are earned, and so I will do my best to try to earn a good nickname.
Yeah, he worked on it for 20 years, Robert. You have to have that kind of seniority first.
Fantastic. Great. So I'm gonna present on our zero fatalities dashboard, just in the effort to remind people how to get where I'm going. This is the main page, like Bill just showed. This is actually probably the quicker way to get to the Transportation Commission link that he was talking about. I'm going to go into the strategic direction, and this is where we show all of our strategic goals and our 3 metrics. I'm going to drill down into the zero fatalities goal and then show the indices that go into that. So the first is traffic fatalities. Once again, we are lagging our target for this goal. We have 217 fatalities. Our target is 203. That number of 203 comes as a 2.5% reduction from the 3-year average. So we are below our target, and we're hoping that we're going to recover from that by the end of the year. Serious injury crashes are also above our target. Those are another focus of ours. Traffic crashes are down, and so what those 3 sort of metrics show us is that while crashes are down, the severity of our crashes are up. And this is not abnormal for us. We're seeing this across the country where traffic crashes may be down, but the severity of those crashes has been up. And I think we can attribute this to less congestion and people driving faster because of that, and maybe too fast for the conditions. Internal fatalities continue to remain at 0. That's where we will demand that we keep those. Our injury rate is below our target. Again, we'd like for that target to drop and not to have anybody that comes to work for us suffer any injuries. And equipment damage is, again, one of those that we are not on target. We're trying to do whatever we can in order to get on target for those things. With that, that's our 0 fatalities metric. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
I recall last year during the 100 Deadliest Days that one of our law enforcement had suggested that we refer to it as our 100 Safest Days instead of 100 Deadliest Days. And as you look at the difference between the year over year, and I realize that, you know, we've got the activities relative to COVID, less travel, et cetera, faster speeds, as you've just described. But do you think there was anything to the idea that we focus on the word safe? Oh, wait, that sounds a little like you, Natalie. That we focus on the word safe as opposed to deadly when we're trying to communicate the behaviors we wish to have. Have you guys have any conversation about that?
I know that there has been conversation. I don't know the answer to that question, why we went from the safest days to the deadliest days. I don't know if anybody has that answer, but it was definitely a bright spot to us last year. It's something that's demonstrated to us that it is possible for us to have that period of time have a significant reduction in fatalities. So that's what we're using, that as a confidence booster for us, just to show that it can be done, and that's what we're trying to emphasize. I don't know if anybody else knows why we switched back.
Robert, we didn't formally switch back. It's just a little bit of ingrained in our vocabulary, but that was the 100 Safest Days was what we went out with and what we were, formally communicating. I don't see Elizabeth Wade on our phone on the call here today, but our director of communications has, been really driving that, how we talk about things like that. So, Commissioner Law, you're right on. That is exactly where we want to be. It's interesting when you look at the numbers on the safety stuff. It's very, very, we tend to want to get drilled down on that, what we see today, and we have to force ourselves not to make, reactions to that number, because last year we had a remarkable 100 safest days. It was just remarkable how low that number was. You look at where we were this year, we're about where we were the 3 previous years before last year. And so we're kind of floating in that same area. We're now, I think we're about 32 fatalities above where we were last year on this date. So, last year we benefited from the great summer. This year we had that, I'll say average summer. So I hope we do better here. But yeah, this is one of the most, I'll say, frustrating things for us. You look at the, 94% of all crashes is human error, human choice. And, so, I can't tell you, the commissioners, how much, while, you help us fund the Zero Fatalities program. That's the program that gets into, we're trying to get into, we're all close into every single high school, talking to every new driver with their parent and spending about an hour and a half with them talking about the deadly behaviors. So much of our results here are dependent on the choices people make behind the wheel.
Right.
And, we've never had safer cars out there, and we've never had safer roadway features out there. And so it is a little bit indirect, the results here and our ability to control. So we're trying to, just do everything we can, and we would appreciate any thoughts you guys have. So you're right. Your comment on this, Elizabeth says she's on. I would, if Mr. Chairman, if you have a minute, Elizabeth Wade has been the one who's been focused on this.
Yes, we would like to hear from her. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Hello. Really, Carlos covered it perfectly, but I'll just reiterate what he said. In our campaign materials, we did go with safest rather than deadliest. Because Commissioner Law, you made the point perfectly as well. We really want to be focusing on the positive. And Carlos also made a good point, which is that language is deeply ingrained in our internal culture, and that is something that we need to continue working on for us to be focused on safety as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
human nature being what it is, unfortunately, there's always going to be a few ID 10T drivers out there. And if you write that down, you'll know what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barlow. Wise words. Any other questions from Robert or Bill? Okay, thank you. Wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Item number 5 in your agenda is public comments. And as of this morning, we have no live comments and we have not received any emails comments. So we're safe to move to the next item of the agenda, which is item number 6, consent agenda. Okay. So at this point, I would like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda and then move on to item number 7.
So move this, Jim.
Okay. We
I
have
think
a
somebody beat me to the
Go
motion. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Barlow. So we have a motion and a second on item number 6, which is consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Now we move on to item number 7, which is a program development, and Ivan Hardell will present that. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commission.
Good morning.
Today we only have a couple of programming items, and you'll see some that look familiar as we're taking action, and then we'll also include some project combinations after. Our first item today, item number 7A, is the Nephi Main Street 200 North to 600 North project. This is a joint highway committee project that is the request to add $500,000 to this project value. The Nephi Main Street Improvements Project 200 North to 600 North was originally had a reduced scope due to funding. On September 22nd, Nephi City presented to the Joint Highway Committee and requested an additional $500,000, and the Joint Highway Committee approved the request. This will provide the funding necessary to address the original scope of the project. Located here within Nephi, in the Nephi city limits, it's a couple of spots shown on the map. Our request today is a motion to add funding to the Nephi Main Street Improvement Project 200 North to 600 North project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, it's Donna. I move to approve.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Lou Kramer, I second that. Great idea.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions, concerns, comments? Please state that right now. Hearing none, I ask for the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7-1 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to our second item. Again, it looks very similar. Instead of the 200 North to 600 North, this is 200 South to 600 South project. Also, the request was the $500,000. This project went to the Joint Highway Commission or the Joint Highway Committee on the September 22nd meeting, and the JHC approved that $500,000 request. This will address the original scope project within the limits shown here on the map. Also, just south of the previous project. Our request today is a motion to add the funding to the North Main Street Improvements 200 South to 600 South project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to make this motion as well.
Thank you.
Kevin seconds.
Thank you for both. Any further questions or concerns on this project? Again, the first one was north and this one is the south, exact the same address. Seeing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7-2 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, you will see these two projects later on in the information only section as we're combining these two projects together.
Thank you.
Our next item, also located in Region 3, is the I-15 SR28 panel replacement and joint seal project. It's a request to add $6.2 million of high volume pavement projects funding. The I-15 and SR28 panel replacement and joint seal is a high volume pavement project that will replace concrete panels and reseal joints on I-15 from milepost 220 to 229.8 and on SR28. Upon reviewing the updated annual pavement data, it was determined that a panel replacement and joint seal treatment to I-15 from milepost 211 to 220 would be needed shortly after the existing program project. Rather than programming another project in back-to-back years, the region recommends extending the project limits to include the milepost 211 to 220 at an additional cost of $6.2 million. This will minimize construction impacts to the traveling public. So located here on our map, you see the existing project 228 and I-15 alongside Nephi. Our request today is a motion to add scope and funding to the I-15 and SR28 panel replacement and joint seal project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Evans. I move for approval.
Thank you.
Barlow seconds.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on item number 3. Any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7-3 is approved.
Thank you. Again, you'll see this project come back as a project combination later. Our next item, item 4, Elk Ridge Drive, SR 198 to 8000 South in Salem. This is a request to add funding, add transportation solutions funding of $700,000. The Elk Ridge Drive is a Utah County project that is almost exclusively funded by the county. It will connect SR 198 and SR 164. UDOT has participated in the project by funding traffic signals on both ends of the project. During the design, Utah County determined that an additional northbound lane, left turn lane, is needed at the intersection of Elk Ridge Drive and SR 164. This additional lane requires an additional westbound receiving lane on SR 164 between the intersection and the northbound on-ramp of I-15. This change ensures compatibility between the new Utah County Road and the existing lanes in SR 164. Shown here on our map. Get it here, adding additional turn lane on SR 164 to the Elk Ridge Drive project. Our request today is a motion to add scope and funding to the Elk Ridge Drive SR 198 to 8000 South Salem project as detailed.
So moved. Commissioner Kramer.
Gochner seconds.
Thank you. Appreciate for the votes. And let's see, we have item number 4. All in favor say any questions and concerns first on this project?
It's needed. Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's needed, and that's every place is growing down there. So congratulations.
Yeah, I wish that the leadership of the Nephi area would be here to see what we do for them. All the money that's coming their way and the projects is happening. All in favor of the item number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next two items are project combinations. The I-15 SR28 panel replacement and joint seal project that was just approved, the $6.2 million, will be combined with the I-15 Nephi Bridge rehabilitation project located basically over the top of the additional scope that was just added. Region 3 will add these two projects together and will be constructed in the same season. This will simplify the maintenance of traffic, contracting, also reduce impacts to the traveling public. Our map, again, basically just the same area between these two projects. Informational only. And the next is the Nephi Main Street Improvement Project. Again, 200 north to 600 north, 200 south to 600 south. The new project will be the 600 south to 600 north, $3.1 million. So the scope will cover both the north and the south sides of Main Street. That is our programming items for this month. Thank you.
So Ivan, what was the timeline for these projects? Do you have that information, or you want to get a lifeline to answer the question?
Which projects? The Nephi project?
Combination of these two projects, we're going to combine them. You said they will be done in the same season. What is the season for it?
I will ask phone a friend with Rob on this between these two projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner, we're actually in the process of coordinating with Region 4 on their program to make sure that we construct this in a season that will coordinate and minimize construction impacts. So I can't say definitively yet, but we're going to make sure that we do it in a way that is logical and minimizes those impacts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Any other questions from Ivan before he goes?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Donna, please.
I've been driving these roads a lot. I appreciate the funding that we got for some of the bridge repairs, and there are less patchworks as I come up the state, and the new highway, all the new work along I-15 just makes the road so much easier and so much safer as I come up to see, the great nieces and nephews and all of that. So I'm just appreciative for the work that's been done.
Thank you for your comments. We're moving on to item number 8, State Infrastructure Bank Loan Request by City of Provo, and Lyle, our dear friend Lyle McMullen, is back on deck. So welcome back, Lyle.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I have one agenda item for you today. It's a State Infrastructure Bank loan application for Provo City. Does everybody see?
Yes.
The screen. All right. And I'm going to, is that a viewable size that's good for everybody?
Yes.
A little bigger would be nice.
A little bigger?
Yes,
I'm
just
sorry,
a little.
Commissioner, did you say bigger?
Yes, a little bigger.
How about that?
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So Provo City has begun construction of their new expanded $42 million airport terminal, and it's going to replace an existing terminal and provide 4 terminal gates with a future build out of 10 gates. It's a regional facility, and it's going to support the Intermountain region. They applied for an additional $5 million SIV loan today to consolidate with the previous loan that you approved back in February of $5 million. The city intends to combine the two amounts and then add it with other funding provided by the Federal Aviation Administration, the legislature, Utah County, and MAG-TIP funding. The current rate, when we checked, which caused some email head shaking, was 0.29% for a 5-year term. And then when we add our 0.5 additive, it is a corresponding 0.79%. And so we're going to go through as we normally do. This is also available on our website, the current balance activity. And our balance forward today is $24.6 million. We didn't deobligate anything recently, so we're going to move on to the ones that you have previously considered and then approved for obligation. That was the two Midvale City applications for 2.1 million and 5.5, and then there's still some remaining from a previous, I think it was almost $23 million, and they still, because of cash flow issues, are still waiting to take down that 450,000. That adds up to 8.1 million, and then we also have, we're holding, due to statute, $5 million for an as yet to be requested $5 million SID loan for the Utah Inland Port. And when those two are combined and then netted from that 24 million, that gives us an unobligated balance of 11.5 million. Today, I'm going to be presenting to you an application from Provo City for 5 million, which if approved would leave 6.5 million unobligated. Are there any questions about the activity fund?
Not a question, but when I saw that rate, Lyle, I called Treasury Damtion. I said, "Are you serious? 0.29?" And I would like to see
So did Becky.
Application for another 5 million for myself. And nobody offered me them.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Law had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I'm just making sure that I'm connecting the dots here correctly. Lyle, did you say that we had already previously loaned the airport expansion 5 million and this is a second 5 million?
Yes.
That is correct.
So the first 5 million, what is the interest amount attached to that first 5 million?
He's going to
That was the interest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interest rate was 2.1%, and I will walk you through step by step what their proposal is.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was jumping ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. All right. So last time I was before you, we talked about a rule that you approved for us to implement. And that, as part of that rule, it involved an application process and a prioritization process. So this is the first application we've received that we could apply that process to. And so it's online and it provides us a digital application, so to speak. So I'm just going to walk through public entity name, Provo, has their amount, the length is 5 years. And as you'll recall, the rule extended the amount of time that a loan could be asked for up to 15 years. So you can see this is, if they really wanted to take advantage of this, they could have asked for a 15-year loan to maximize the savings and lower their payments, but they really just asked for a 5-year term. So the project type, road and highway, and we'll see, I said terminal, but it also includes the whole project, which includes roads to and from the terminal and access roads. It's for the Provo City Airport, road and parking lots. They are going to be paying it from future MAG funds and from general fund revenues from Provo City. We also asked for their PTIF number so we know where to send the money. And then one of the things that we ask for, it's 6 questions that we use to determine whether or not they are awarded points. And so one of them is, does it encourage, enhance, or create economic benefits to the state? And the response was that it's estimated that for each daily flight into and out of Provo, it'll provide $15 million in impact to the local economy. That was a wow factor for me. So I called back and I actually emailed back and said, is this true? And he provided me, the Provo representative provided me with a blurb from the study that supported that. And then the next question is, will the loan or assistance enable the project to proceed at an earlier date than is otherwise possible? And the answer is yes, because the reason why they're coming back is because the project is doing is moving forward, and this will help them to complete it so that they can actually, when the funding is to be received in July of 2023 for FY24, it'll just pay off the loan. So otherwise they would have had to wait till then. Will assistance from the SIB foster public-private partnerships? And their answer was yes, it will provide opportunities for airline-related businesses to locate in Provo. And then, does the transportation project provide benefit to the state highway system, including safety or mobility improvements? And their response was that because this airport will provide additional commercial airline service into and out of Provo as an alternative to Salt Lake City, then people won't have to go from Utah County to Salt Lake City to fly, and thereby reducing trips. And then, does the project include financing in local and private participation? Yes. And what percentage of the total project cost does the loan represent? 7.5%. Lastly, does the project provide intermodal connectivity with public transportation? And it will provide for mass transportation or mass transit station as well as active transportation accommodation. Then we have them sign it, then we have them name it, and then we score it. Now, the reason why we had this was in case we ever have multiple applicants. At this particular point, there's only one applicant, but you will see that it was just basically a binary. Did they get the point or did they not get the point? And they sufficiently answered each question such that they got points for everything. Do you have any questions about the prioritization process and the scoring model?
Lyle, I do. Commissioner Kramer, there's no way that each daily flight is a $15 million. Maybe that's an annual value or something else, but it's not a date. You know, there's no way that's an accurate statement. So I just want to ensure that Provo City is sensitive to our concerns on that issue. Secondly, is UDOT the only entity that handles state infrastructure bank funding? Or are there other, I mean, do we get applications from UTA on this or from like with the MITA folks? I mean, do they come to UDOT to get this answer? Are you the banker or this part of a bigger, I'm sorry, I don't remember the organizational setup.
UDOT is, to my knowledge, UDOT is the only state infrastructure bank in Utah. And we have provided loans to MITA. As you saw earlier, we're holding $5 million in reserve statutorily for the Utah Inland Port. And we have provided loans to about a dozen local governments and counties for transportation infrastructure.
So you are the banker. Got it. I mean, effectively. So, and to that my first question about the 15 million, maybe that's on an annual basis or something, but let's don't let this be fodder for anybody else to say, hey, wait a minute, you're overstating the impact. Thank you.
Hey, Lyle.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that the commission is the banker and that the department are your clerks on this.
Thank you for clarification. I wanted everyone to say the same thing.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Brian Torgerson with the City of Provo. Let me clarify the $15 million. Lyle did mention that would be an eye popper, which let me clarify. That is for each destination market that has daily service. And that is an annual impact. So it wouldn't be just because we have a flight every day, there's that impact. It's for each destination market that offers daily service.
On an annual basis. Yeah.
On an annual basis, correct.
Thanks, Rick. We presume that. Just wanted to be cautious. Yeah. Thank you.
What destinations are currently offered?
Currently, we serve Mesa daily. We serve Tucson and coming shortly, Denver.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Evans. Just another comment for the commissioners. Even though obviously this says for the Provo City Airport, this has the support of all the mayors in the county as well as the commission as part of the plan down there. I just wanted to make you aware of that as well. So because this not only helps Provo, but it helps the whole county down there. And so all the mayors and the commission have voted in support of this as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Law, I neglected to mention LA. We fly LA as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. The term on this thing makes me feel pretty comfortable that they've got a solid plan and that they're, this is kind of a revolving line to accomplish it. I see this, one of the issues that we talked about in the legislature off and on there is that, we just finished a big project at Salt Lake, but there are some needs that, what happens if we have to shut down? What do we do with those planes? I think this is a step in the right direction on giving us another airport to back up Salt Lake and take some pressure off of there in time. And quite frankly, from where I live in the state, if I needed to go to Arizona or I'd probably fly out of Provo just because it's easier to get to and closer and a number of things. So I think this is a positive deal. I don't think it appears to me like it's well thought out. Glad to hear that the mayors and everyone's supportive of it. So that would be my take.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, please.
Let me just share some of the project is completely funded. The issue becomes a cash flow issue, like Lyle mentioned. We have received MAG funding through the TIP selection process that was recently completed on October 1st. So to Commissioner Evans' point, it is supported by the county, by the local mayors. The issue being that money is not available until 2024. And so we've got over $23 million in FAA funding for the project, $9 million from the state, 4.3 from Utah County, and then the $15 million from MAG in addition to Provo City Utilities and general fund contributions. So the project is funded. This just becomes a cash flow issue. The intent is once the MAG funds are available, and Lyle, I think you said July of 23, it's actually January 1st of 24. So it's the same fiscal year. So either way, it will be repaid in FY24. That is our intent.
Mr. Chairman, one final comment. I am very excited about this. I think it is an ideal addition to what's happening in Utah Valley. It's going to help on the growth. Nagy talks so much about sunny St. George. My hometown is Mesa, Arizona, and let me tell you, we got sun down in Mesa, so this is going to be great. Just one final question, though. We talked about 10 terminals, 10 gates, and I only see 4 jets there in the drawing. Am I missing something, or am I not counting right, or is that for future expansion?
Yeah, so the initial build, the current build that we are just waiting for dirt to settle out to begin, and we're planning construction going vertical as soon as next week. So the initial construction is for 4 gates, and then as demand warrants, we can expand to the north and to the south. You can kind of see a dashed line.
Yes.
There that says phase 2 building footprint. That would be almost a concourse on the north side, and the south side of the buildings would extend with 3 gates on either side.
Excellent. Yeah, I see it now. It's just a little hard on this schematic. Well, congratulations. This is exciting as can be.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been hats off to everyone involved, our federal partners, our state partners, and you as well as a commission. Thank you very much.
I should have mentioned that Lyle is also a Mesa, Arizona native. He was humble, didn't mention that.
Yes, I am.
There you go. So you got 2 strong votes just on the Arizona connection.
Thank you. Commissioner Cogner.
Thanks, Nagy. I just wanted to comment, I served on the Salt Lake City International Airport Board for 8 years. And in that experience, I became very aware of the need for the Provo airport to expand. So this, to me, is very consistent with the natural regional growth of our metropolitan area.
Norma, go ahead, please.
Pardon?
Donna, unmute.
Back to me?
Sorry, is the decimal in the right place? Really, 0.79?
Yes, it is.
So we have other funds out there at higher rates. Do we anticipate others might come back to the table for quote refinancing? And does that matter?
When we talked through this, there were several factors that we considered. Number one, what was the term of the loan? Number two, they were asking for additional funds, and 100% more funds to be exact. And if somebody came back and said, I just want to lower my rate, that would be for you to determine whether or not you wanted to do that, whether it was in, good use of time and public resources and the like. In this particular case, they needed the funds. They asked for a short term, and it makes it easier for everybody involved to just have one payment as opposed to multiple payments in terms of tracking and paying and calculating.
When the line goes through the several other pages of the charts and tables to explain that what it's going to be, you will have some other questions answered, but I hope that we'll have the final comments at the end. Go ahead, Lyle, please.
Thank you. All right. So just some renderings so that you can see what they're trying to do with the funding. And this is all in your packet. So normally what I do is I show you the amortization chart, which is either 1 or 2. And there are multiple because they're requesting a consolidation. So basically what we did was we took the original loan that you approved back in February, and we capitalized 8 months of interest at this 2.1% interest rate, which comes out to $70,000 even. So we add that in on the next one. That's where you see the original amount plus the 70,000. Then we add the 5 million and another year's worth of interest because the statute and the rule allow for interest only accrual until the project is actually complete. The applicant isn't required to make payments until the project is in place, and that's not anticipated to happen until I think 2023. And so
22, wow.
That 22, okay, thank you. And then so that is 79,553. So that's added on, which leaves us 10,149,000. And then you have a five periods to pay. They're going to pay that 5 million in FY24, which is actually in 23, and then pay the remaining payments over the next 3 periods. So that this here is the payment schedule, which gives us 0 at the end of 5 years. And then in your packet also, I went through and just put it all on one page so you could see what you could walk through exactly what happens in the time period, what happens and what it does to the balance to get us down to 0. Any questions on the amortization? If there are none, then we will go back to the motion.
Well, before you go through motion, then I will ask this though to the commission, or just maybe remind commission, you cannot touch the interest rate, you cannot alter interest, but you can discuss and you can ask questions, and you can also concern about the amount, the other terms, and if you would like to. But this is again worthy projects. It's a good alternative for the Salt Lake Community Airport in case of emergencies. And as the Commissioner Evans mentioned, there are a lot of support from the local leadership, commissioners, mayors, and city managers, and the citizens for that matter. But yes, you cannot touch, even though they're so genius about the city managers and city officials to take advantage of the opportunity of the timing for the interest rate. But then and again, that's a genius on their part because their citizens are concerned and they would like to make that investment right now. We have given that opportunity, the statute and the commission, so that is your money. You cannot touch the interest rate, you cannot alter it, but you can decide, yes, you wanted to approve the loan, how much, and what term.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Those of you that do a little mortgage financing, I've looked at a little bit, and I think, we are at historic low rates, and it's a great time to tie up money and to do these. And if you're ready for a motion, I'm prepared to make that.
In order, go ahead, please.
I would move we approve the application as it was presented.
Second, this is Commissioner Evans.
There's a motion and a second, and the terminal for City of Provo and the interest rate dimension, the amount of the loan, and all the charts that presented to you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hold your peace forever, whatever you want to do. Well, seeing or hearing none, the motion before us just approved the 5 million SIB loan to Provo City for 5 years at 0.079 and consolidate with previous 5 million SIB loan. That's the total motion for clarification. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Lyle. Is approved.
Good work, Lyle.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Item number 9 in your agenda, commissioners, and is a corridor preservation. And of course, this is the Prince SR 73 and the Eagle Mountain. Charles Stormont is going to present that item.
Good morning, commissioners. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm going to pull up my screen for you. And as is our custom, we normally take a look at the status of the Marta Del Rey Corridor Preservation Fund. Are you able to see this sheet?
Yes.
Okay. The balance forward is just a hair over 8.5 million. A couple of things to call your attention to on revenue. The motor vehicle rental tax is way down from what we are accustomed to, and certainly what we were accustomed to before March of this year. I am excited to say that in September those revenues are going to be up a little over $400,000. I'm not sure if that means we're moving into some sort of a recovery phase, or we just had a really busy September, but that number is a low for the month of August, and so we're hoping to see some rental cars being rented. It does give me a chance though to highlight the incredible work of my property manager, Diana Lecca. You'll see these property management rental revenues are steady and not insignificant. She does a great job managing these parcels until the projects need them, and keeping our expenses relatively modest for doing that work. The net of all of that through the month of August was a hair under $500,000 in revenue, which again is below what we're used to seeing, but we all know why. Again, expenses are being well managed. The net of all of the starting and revenue and expenses is just a little bit under $9 million, with a little over $2.5 million committed through approvals by the commission. At least one of these I know has already moved contract and is moving towards closing. So Diane McGuire has been working hard to take advantage of a little bit of quiet time on our corridor preservation work to finish off approved transactions. The net after that would be a little under $6.5 million, with the request today being for $164,000. If that was approved, the net remaining in the fund, taking into account all of the obligations, would be just under $6.3 million. One other item I forgot to mention, I am not an accountant, so this is the in my mind, the equivalent of the state treasurer's office digging through the couch cushions to see what they can find. We did, thanks to some year-end balancing that was done at the end of the fiscal year, receive a balancing bump of a little over $300,000. This is a byproduct of the accounts that the treasurer uses to hold the funds in interest earning accounts, cutting checks, and everything in between. I wish I could give you a more sophisticated explanation of that accounting process, but unfortunately I can't. But that is one number I wanted to call to your attention as well. It was in the down revenue months. It was nice to have that little extra bonus.
We don't question the income coming in, Charles. Don't worry. Expenses are the question.
Yeah. If there aren't any questions, I'll move to the request that we have today. So today we have one item. As usual, the picture is worth 1,000 words. This is a 0.51 acre lot at 9265 North Horizon Drive in Eagle Mountain. The image here shows the current plan for the SR 73 corridor running through this section of Eagle Mountain. This parcel is a little off the main corridor, but is needed for a punch-through road to help restore connectivity in this area. You'll see here, this is going to become a right out and right in intersection for this section of Horizon Drive to restore connectivity to this neighborhood. For one thing, I'll pull up. This is the current state. It's currently a full movement. That means you can go any direction. Bobcat Way is going to be eliminated by the project. We'll stub in along here at Hawk Lane, and you'll see we're going to cul-de-sac this section of it. We have acquired a number of homes in this area over the last couple of years. I could pull that up if it's helpful to see what we've already purchased in this area. Ms. Prince went in for a building permit. She wanted to build her dream home, learned that there is a half-acre lot size minimum. When this road punches through, her lot will not be big enough to accommodate that lot size required by Eagle Mountain, so she approached us. We have acquired an appraisal which puts this lot's value at $164,000. And that would be our request today to the commission, is approval to obligate $164,000 to buy this 0.51 acre lot.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please, Carlos.
Yes, and I don't know if it's just what I'm seeing on my screen here, but the cursor that Charles was using to try to orient us, I think was off on my screen, and I don't know if it was on others as well. So if there's questions about what he said, we could talk about that.
Any questions from Charles regarding this particular project and acquisition? Okay. That's the motion before you then.
Commissioner Evans, I move for approval.
I second it, Commissioner Kramer.
There's a motion and a second. And item number 9. Any questions, comments, concerns? Beside the cursor, there was not the right place.
Well, this is Commissioner Kramer, just a comment. The prices continue to go up, and appreciate Charles's constant stewardship of our money, because I think now is a good time to be buying. So
yes, it is.
Commissioner Barlow and I are on that corridor preservation committee, and we are appreciative of this forward-looking approach. So thank you.
Okay. All in favor of this particular project, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. So you presented the next item, Charles, that item number 10, Ash Creek Special Service District?
Yes. Item number 10 is a request for approval in Region 4.
I think we're losing you, Charles.
Southern Utah.
Charles, we lost you. You need to repeat the.
Parcel not acquired.
Charles, if you hear us, we lost your audio. You kind of frozen up. Would you please state all over from scratch?
And
I believe he's going to try and connect back in.
Okay.
Jason, do you want to just kind of pick up for Charles?
Carlos, I can if you want.
Who is?
Oh,
Rick.
Yeah, Rick is available.
Yeah, so we've worked with Charles quite a bit on this to kind of get this cleaned up. So we purchased this parcel that's shown. Well, I guess I need to share my screen. Hang on just a second. All right, commissioners, can you see that now?
Yes.
You can make it a little bigger, Rick. That would be great.
Oh, that's almost too big.
Great.
All right, I'll start with the map and then come back to the wording here. So we purchased this part. This is on SR9. So Hurricane is to the right of this sheet, and Quail Creek and Walmart and all that stuff are to the left of this sheet. And so this is out there near where the sewer lagoons are that serves that whole Hurricane area. So Ash Creek Sewer Service District has a sewer line upgrade that they are planning on doing and have completed a lot of the sewer line to the east of this parcel. When they got close to this parcel that we now own, they had an easement from the prior property owner, but we have purchased this easement with corridor preservation funds back in 2009. And when they got ready to start design and get ready to bid a project on here, they noticed the easement was in the wrong spot for their current line. So the middle section here is where the easement was at on the parcel that we purchased, and where they need the sewer line to go with their final design and approval of where their line wants to be is the red section on the back right section of the parcel. So the history, we kind of wrote the bullets here of the history that we purchased it in 2010. They've had an easement across that property that they acquired in 1981. They're ready to, or they have installed the sewer line east of the defined easement now, and they have noticed the error in the easement, and Ash Creek Special Service District is asking us to swap these two easements. It does provide a little bit of a better parcel for us because that easement won't be going right through the middle of the parcel. It'll be back on the bottom right side of the parcel. So I guess we're seeking approval to exchange these easements with Ash Creek Service District. It looks like Charles jumped back on. So you want to add anything there, Charles? Did you hear it all?
I do not. I apologize. My internet decided to hiccup. I think it heard the commissioner say I was done on item 9 and decided to give up. So really, I appreciate Rick picking up the slack. But from what I was able to hear, I concur with everything he said. It matches what's on the ground now. They're replacing their current sewer line, and so we would request approval to make the exchange of the current recorded document for a new recorded easement that matches the current location of the line.
This is Barlow. I'll make a motion to approve.
It's Donna, I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on item number 10. Any further questions, comment, clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and number 10 is approved. Charles, thank you for your presentation.
Commissioners.
Very much.
Apologies for the hiccup there.
No problem. We all have the same challenge, my friend. Before we move on to the next item, Chair would like to suggest 5 minutes break. It is 10:30 exactly. Come back 10:35, please. Wow.
Because he said he's been working for X for 20 years.
Well, give him his credentials.
That's what I'm working on.
Okay, everyone, it's 10:35. Please return your positions. Are we back, everyone?
Yep.
Okay, I see. Okay. All right, Ben, you have number 11. Thank you for all these months of preparation and getting us really educated on the capacity project. Thank you and your team, your committees. Wonderful job you've done. So go ahead, please. You have the con.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. So the first item today for capacity project prioritization is related to approval of proposed amendments to Administrative Rule R940-6. Last month, the presentation included some general categories of proposed changes to the prioritization process. The categories that apply to the administrative rule are including transit projects from phase 1 of the long range plan, and also regionally important active transportation projects in the input list for the prioritization process. And then the other one was some grammatical and wording changes for clarity and to align with Utah code. So I will scroll through the rule that reflects those categories. This rule is the same, this marked up version is the same version that was presented last month with no additional changes throughout the month. So there are various wording changes here to clean it up and align it with code, as was mentioned. And then if I scroll down a little bit, here is the area where that first category of change is included, which is the transit project, the phase 1 long range plan transit projects, and the regionally important active transportation projects included in the input list for the prioritization process. We also gave a little bit more clear direction on where to provide your nominations that are part of the process. And then the rest of these changes were of the category of aligning with code and making things more clear. So I'm just scrolling through, getting to the bottom. Like here's an example at the bottom here of aligning it with code. So it's a fairly brief description there, but I would be happy to answer any questions on any of these proposed amendments to the rule.
One more time, mention to us, to the commission and to the public, maybe about the match portion of each project that they have to bring before us, how much it is and what they have to do, what kind of it can be sweat equity in kind or any other versions, please.
Yeah, thank you. The match for transit projects, both capital projects and first mile, last mile project, and also active transportation projects, is set in code at 40%. We did change the wording in here to just refer to the code, which is more proper in our experience of writing these rules to keep them aligned. And to your other question, it is allowable to do in-kind match, which I believe there is a definition at the top. Sorry for all the scrolling. I know it always gets fun with.
Yeah, I think it was on the page 3 or so.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, here is listed as in-kind match, non-cash matches, including services, labor, right-of-way, construction materials, or labor equipment time valued at fair market value. I believe that's in alignment with some federal definitions of an in-kind match.
Okay.
So the project types that do require that match, there are different ways to meet that match requirement.
And they have to identify those at the time they put the application in?
We do have some information that we request from them about the match, but we do have the opportunity to work with them through the nomination process. I think that's one of the benefits of having a collaborative process here, where we can answer those types of questions, and we're able to provide them some options or answer questions that they have on what might apply.
Okay. Can they swap the federal money to the state money part of the match?
The code, I believe, requires the nominating entity to bring the match. So they are able to use federal money for match if it's their federal money that they're bringing to the table. I hope I answered that question appropriately.
Yes. Thank you.
Are there any other questions I would be able to answer on this administrative rule item?
Mr. Chair, if you're ready for a motion, I'd be happy to make it.
Well, let's Ben state it first, and then I will ask for that. Yes, go ahead, please,
Okay.
Ben.
Yeah, thank you. The request would be to approve filing of the proposed amendments to Rule R940-6 with the Division of Administrative Rules per the rulemaking process.
I so move.
Okay.
Gochner seconds.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second on item number 11. Ms. A. Any further questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is very much related. It is the capacity project prioritization process document that accompanies the rule. It's referenced in the rule. So it includes the same categories of proposed changes, but there was also an additional category where there was some modifications proposed to the models to incorporate feedback and lessons learned throughout the past year and the coordination that's happened during that time period. So I'll just reiterate including transit projects from phase 1 of the long range plan and regionally important active transportation projects into the input list. There are quite a few wording changes for grammatical cleanup and clarification, and then also those lessons learned that I talked about. Because there were many changes, especially with the wording, last month we provided a summary document to help orient to get to some of the more substantive changes with respect to including the projects in the input list and then some of the feedback and lessons learned. I will note that during this past month, since we presented it last month, we did receive a few comments from our partners that we work with on these processes, and we do recommend including a couple of those comments, and I will go over those briefly, and they are highlighted here because they are a change from what was presented last month. The general category of those comments were to provide some additional options for some of the data sources and some flexibility while still meeting the intent of the measures that they were commenting on. And there are also a few other comments that we've received that we would like to continue working on with our partners, and those, if there was any changes, we would bring those back at the appropriate time for this. So this document is the summary document. For example, this system ridership change measure has a highlighted section where we included some, where we recommend including the comments that we received. And then I'll scroll down. I believe there was another comment along a similar vein within the multimodal connectivity index measure on the transit model to provide that flexibility of meeting the intent of that measure.
Ben, would you please go back to the first page? Just the first page. The last sentence on the first paragraph says to have the ability to score the project without needed responses. Would you please elaborate on that sentence itself?
Yeah, with the change from including projects from phase 1 of the long range plan, and let's take, for instance, transit, which yeah, this is the TTIP transit model. Previously, there were many measures that required the nominator to provide that information, or the sponsor, as we've noted it here. So in making that change to include projects in the input list from phase 1 of the long range plan, the goal was to look for ways to find data that could be used in these measures that did not need to be provided by the sponsor or the nominator. So that's a consistent theme through the purpose of these types of changes, and I think that's how we tried to break it out in this document. I do have Richard Brockmeyer here with me today in case I misspeak on that, but that's the general meaning of that sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just add that's exactly the purpose. Is we'll have a list of projects that we need to score, and rather than having to go out and find that information or require them to provide us that information, working with the MPOs and those that own the travel demand models, we'd get the data that way.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Go ahead, Ben.
And just to clarify, we are still going to have nominations part of this process. This is just the nominations will be in addition to the input list inclusions as we've discussed.
Okay.
So then I will scroll down, and I'm not going to touch on every single change because, like I mentioned, we took the opportunity to make some wording changes and make things more clear. That was a consistent comment that we heard through this process, is to try to make things clear, give a chance to understand these measures. There's a lot of them. And so I'm just going to scroll down a little bit to show the corresponding highlighted areas. It's amazing what you find when you want to try to make sure you got all the names correct and your acronyms correct and everything as you go through these documents. So that's what some of these changes were related to. So here's that same corresponding highlighted area that we were talking about in the summary document, to give a little bit more explanation in this section. And then the second one was a little bit lower.
Commissioners, please don't read these documents while you're driving.
So sorry to make you dizzy, but I'm going to scroll down to back to the fact sheet that summarizes this, and ask for if there's any specific questions that we can answer.
I asked Carlos and Ben yesterday on a meeting that what does it take to get all these corrections and read, and how many people are involved, and he said several different stages and different committees, and It's amazing that we just show up, a bench shows up one day, says that this is it, 64 pages, and yet it's taken all these months to prepare and to read and to clarify the language itself and the grammar and typo. And thank you guys, making our jobs easy.
The only question I have is if once we approve this, does Ben get to sleep for a month or two?
He's going on vacation, wherever the crew is.
Oh, but Carlos is shaking his head. Okay, I tried.
That could be part of your emotion to have them approved and they've sent it Ben to 1 week vacation someplace.
I second. I don't think I can do that.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, and I have to give all the credit to our team and even our partners. Like I mentioned before, they continue to review this and help us with this and provide great comments. And you know, I fully believe that you remember in our discussion of this process that our goal is to, you know, have transportation help create that great quality of life for Utah. So.
Yeah. So you ready for the motion then?
So the request would be motion to approve the revisions to the new transportation capacity project prioritization process document as presented.
This is Barlow. I'll move to approve.
Kramer, I'll second that. Thanks, Wayne.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? After all these months, you should have no questions at all. It's all memorized by now, right? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and item number B is approved. Thank you. Ben, you're still on for number 12.
Yep, last item here. So this item is moving forward, proposed schedule. And it also includes some discussion or notification on the upcoming nomination period. So I am going to see if I can switch my screen real quick here. So for this item, sorry, I'm scrolling here and scrolled too far. Okay. So for this item, UDOT is proposing a new schedule for capacity project prioritization with a purpose of creating more time between having rank lists and when projects are recommended and approved for funding. So the reason for creating that additional time is to create time for project definition between the time when you have a rank list and potential funding, so that there's time to define project scope, check cost estimates, do some cash flow analysis, perform things like a corridor analysis, which we touched on a little bit last time that we went through this process. But I'll give you a for instance, if there's multiple projects on a corridor that is changing the functionality like a Bangerter highway, there may be operational or constructability considerations on what order those projects should be built, and those can be included in the recommendations. And it also would provide time for additional stakeholder outreach and input, because a big part of this process is allowing for public input. And so backing up to what we did last year, the window between having a rank list and those funding recommendations was very short. It was in the January, February timeframe. Then a few months later in April, there was funding recommendations. So after working through that's where this proposal is coming from, is to look for a way to extend that time period to allow for those things that I've mentioned. The other piece of this is that it would also allow for an extended nomination period, which is a comment that we heard through our listening sessions. Last year, that period was very short, and this would allow for a longer time period. We could work through some of those things like that were brought up about figuring out match or answering match questions, match identification, and even project questions. What that would do, as shown on this schedule here, though, is that the current lists would be used for the upcoming skip process. So it is a change from what was previously done last year.
Hey, Ben, this is Commissioner Evans' question.
Yes.
So with that, the last thing with that, what that means, were there any that were, I mean, this is the new change we're proposing. I haven't heard, are there any that had some major heartburn that we were not making any changes now and pushing this list out to next year? Are there any, I haven't had a chance to get any feedback from anybody on it. So I'm just wondering if you've had a chance to talk to any and they understand kind of why we're pushing, not making changes now and pushing this list out for the next.
We have had some initial conversations with some of our partners to talk through some of these issues and talk about the benefits of doing this versus some potential concerns. I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in, but most of the conversations I've been able to have been, understanding and open to the benefit side of what this creates.
And I like all the benefits you've mentioned. I was just curious, since this is shifting a little bit, and if just any of the feedback we were getting from anybody. So that was my only question. But I understand why we're doing it. So.
This is within the rule doesn't specifically talk about the exact time frame. So this is something that we're proposing or planning on doing, and would like to just present that and be able to talk about any questions or concerns with that moving forward.
Mr. Chair, are you ready for a motion?
Ben,
I apologize. I apologize. This is just an informational item. It was more of a discussion item.
Oh, great.
So I guess it was just a request to answer any questions or if there was any additional clarification that was needed. So I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Seems the biggest issue actually had to do with the amount of time. And I appreciate the fact that we've extended that so dramatically for partners to take advantage.
Any other
So I
questions?
don't have any.
Go ahead.
I just going to say I don't have any additional information unless there's specific questions we can answer.
No, I think you deserve all the long-term vacation if you want to take it, if the callers will let you go. But yes, you did a good job, your team and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Lucky number 13 belongs to Lane Murphy. And then he's going to for the Utah school buses. So let's go, Lane.
I see my screen okay?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Lane, could you turn on your video? Oh, there you are. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. There's no screen yet, Lane.
Well, I'm just seeing what I've got here. How about now? Is it coming?
Yes.
Yeah, circling right now. Okay, showed up. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, it's good to be with you guys, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I won't take much of your time unless you have questions, but I'm grateful for that. So As you can see, there's just a rule change for school bus standards. And what it really boils down to is there's these two bullets here, which are the changes within the standard. So going down to the rule right here. So the only change here is it's the 19 publication, changing it to the 20 standards. And so within the standards, there's just a few things here at the top that are changed within the standards, talking about requirements to have dual rear wheels and tires on school buses. And then there's some changes for driver qualifications there. So that was the only change within the standard, but it needed to be changed to the 2020 edition in rule. So that's really it. But I'm grateful to ask if you have any questions of me. And
go ahead, Donna.
Do most of our school buses already meet this standard, or is this going to be something that will be challenging and expensive for the schools to meet?
So just going through here of the impact here, you can see that there's not much, and you're right, they are, most school buses, if not all, they meet this qualification. So
what was the previously physical assessment? Was it annual, biannual? What was the time on that?
My understanding was it was annual.
It is still annual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Van Tassel, I'm assuming the two are at-fault accidents or tickets. It's not, somebody plows into you, it's not your fault, that doesn't count.
I didn't quite understand that. I apologize. What was the question?
The question is they're not to have more than 2 tickets or accidents. Those are at fault, right?
Yes. I won't be able to completely answer that accurately. I'm not sure on that within the standards. I don't know that. I would think so, but not to be 100% sure.
Commissioner Van Tassel, yes. So you have to be found at fault to be issued a ticket, and so you're correct.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because, there's several, I've seen a couple of accidents this year here locally with, and most of it's not the 2 that I'm aware of has not been the bus driver. It's been the other motoring public that's caused the accident. So I thought that was the way it was, but just wanted to clarify that.
Lane, back to Commissioner Law's question. So these changes will be the retroactive or going forward? Do we have any grandfather for any of the old buses, or what is happening?
No, it's moving forward. So, and is my understanding. And again, this goes to the Board of Education and their groups. So that I guess I don't know that. It's a great question. I don't know if there is anything grandfathered or just moving forward. I don't know that. I apologize. I can find out.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. Again, this is for information only, Commissioners. So any other questions you have from Lane before he checks out? I guess that's it. Lane, thank you.
Well, great to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. So that concludes our agenda for today, Commissioners. Anyone has any other further questions would like to ask me or Carlos, Jason, Terry? We have all the good people here to answer all the questions, concerns, old projects, new projects, anything at all, please.
Hey, just proud to be in Utah.
Yay!
On some other roads in some other states the last 3 or 4 months, and boy, there's nothing like being back to UDOT roads. So congratulations to all.
Carlos, you want to mention the governor's decision about the October 30th for ribbon cutting of the tech corridor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Brad had mentioned, we're getting to the conclusion of the I-15 Technology Corridor project. And I think probably the motorists driving through that every day are probably more excited than we are, but it's been a long time coming. And so the governor will be doing a, hard to call it a ribbon cutting. It's in light of the new rules around COVID-19. We're limited to groups of 10, is that what I think the number is. So the governor will be doing a innovative ribbon cutting on October 30th in the morning to celebrate the completion of that project. So we're trying to work out how to make this work. And you know, you're always worried about missing somebody when you invite somebody, and having a number 10 is pretty tight. So, you know, Jim, we'd like to have you there. We think the mayor should be there. But, you know, how many legislators do we give, you know, that deserve credit? So our team is working on it. We're trying to figure that out right now.
Okay.
Well,
I promise to leave my guitar at home.
Oh, God. Come on. I see your skateboard behind you. Maybe we could ride our skateboards for you.
Oh, yeah. I'll come on my longboard to open the freeway.
Won't this be an outdoor activity, Carlos? I mean, that might have a
Yeah, we're actually going to do it in a parking garage that overlooks the corridor. So we're trying to put it together in a way that's safe and complies with the local health orders there.
Yeah.
You can sell my ticket, Carlos. I'm not coming. You guys are too much of wild people there. I don't want to get sick.
Carlos, put a ribbon across the highway, and the commissioner will drive.
Well, it can almost be classified as a religious observance, which has a little higher numbers available. I mean, after all, we've been praying for this for a long time.
We take our job seriously, Commissioner. I'm not sure we've gone to that extent yet.
Any other announcements? Yes.
Not one point of personal privilege. I have my ballot here with me, and I just want to encourage everybody to go out and vote.
Thank you very much. It is important, all of us, everyone. This is the time.
Well, the new airport, the Salt Lake Airport. Natalie, congratulations to all for that airport. It is really awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we're on the map.
Yes, it is. Any comment from Jason, Terry? Anything you'd like to add to the conversation from your department?
No, I think everything's been said and said very well.
Thank you, Jason. Terry, are you still with us? I guess not. Next meeting. Go ahead. Yes. Okay. Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you for all you do, my friends. Thank you very much to keeping company with the Carlos and educating me on the days before commission meetings and helping us with the commission. Thank you, all your department heads, region directors. Thank you very much, and your families. Our next meeting is November 12 and 13. It was supposed to be in Price, but I don't think we're going there. So still, we're going to be doing this in virtual, but just remember, life is too short to have regrets in the morning. So love those who care about you and pray for those who don't. With that note, my love and appreciation to all of you and big virtual hugs. Okay, until then, until we meet again. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, my friends. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.